Welcome back to Cord Cutting Today, where we break down some of the biggest stories happening in the world of cord cutting, including massive layoffs hitting Amazon as they try to make cost-cutting measures. We'll tell you where and how many tens of thousands of employees are about to lose their jobs, starting as soon as today, according to reports. Also, MSNBC, CNBC, and other Comcast cable companies are going $2 billion in debt as they prepare to be spun off into an independent company. And Verizon is going to keep some of its locals as it strikes a deal. We'll tell you with who, what's happening there, and a lot more. There's a lot happening in the world of cord cutting coming up in a quick second. First, though, if you're new here, you can always find a link to every story I talk about in the show notes and in the first pinned comment. I'll put a link there to every story I talk about so you can read them for yourself, come up with your own opinions. I'd love to hear from you. If you're new here, also hit that subscribe button or hit that thumbs up. Do one or both. Lets YouTube know you enjoy what we do here. So YouTube recommends our videos to more people, helping us grow, hopefully helping you break free from the high cost of TV and still watch the shows you enjoy. All right, let's dive into it. Reuters has reported that Amazon will slash up to 30,000 employees at its corporate offices. Now, this represents roughly 10% of their total corporate workforce, which is huge. This joins a growing trend of tech companies slashing the amount of staff that they have. I think X, formerly Twitter, was kind of the first one who really did it. Once a lot of companies saw that they significantly reduced headcount, it seems like everybody's following them recently, and Amazon being the next one. Now, they currently have about 350,000 corporate employees, so roughly 10% almost of their workforce is about to be cut with this one. Now, this comes as they increasingly going to be relying on things like AI and more. In the grand scheme of things, though, 1.5 million employees roughly at the time of this recording works for Amazon. Amazon reportedly is considering cutting hundreds of thousands of employees over the next few years using AI automation and robots and the like, according to reports. I think that's going to be real. We talked about this in an earlier video, but increasingly companies are cutting staffing, leaning into AI, leaning into automation and robots. It's just kind of one of those things. What does that mean in the long run? We're going to have to wait and see. But for now, this is going to be not impacting the distribution centers. So this isn't about people picking products. It's more about supervisors overseeing that. We'll see how it all works out in the long run and which departments. Amazon's big. Is it going to hit the Fire TV department, the hardware business, the software, the audio books, the movie and TV production, corporate level, accounting, PR, what? We've already seen some layoffs in different Amazon areas, including PR recently. So we'll watch it closely. Hey, next up, Microsoft, MSNBC, excuse me, they're no longer that. I was reading and talking. Comcast, MSNBC, formerly partnered with Microsoft, no longer, not for a long time. CNBC and other Comcast-owned cable networks like the USA Network and Sci-Fi are going $2 billion in debt. Bloomberg reported this recently, and the new independent Verizon Media Group, which will now be soon owning all the Comcast cable TV networks with the exception of Bravo, and of course Peacock will remain with Comcast, is going billions of dollars in debt to make a dividend payment to Comcast. Now, I give my opinion on the news. I don't know how these cable networks pay off $2 billion in debt without doing one thing, and that's selling part or all of some of their networks. Would not surprise me at all to see these networks sell shares in their companies to other ones to help pay this off. But they just took a massive amount of debts, about $1 billion through loans and $1 billion through assets with that, or tied to guaranteed assets. I don't know. I just don't know in today's world how a bunch of cable networks are going to generate $2 billion of revenue with this to do it. Again, $1 billion in high yield notes and $1 billion in loans. We'll watch this very closely, but this to me hints that the overall objective here is to sell some of these. There's been reports that several buyers are hovering around CNBC in particular. Wouldn't surprise me to see that sell completely. Maybe will, maybe won't. We'll wait and see. And then see some of the other cable networks take in different buyers. Maybe sell part of MSNBC, sell part of all the cable networks as a group, or some individually. We'll watch it closely, but $2 billion is a lot of debt for an industry that's really struggling right now. No matter what I hear from executives in it, I would rather not be an owner of a cable TV network right now. All right, next up, Verizon and Nexstar agreed to a new distribution deal. We talked last week that Verizon's Fios service could lose access to local TV stations. They've struck a deal, and local ABC, CBS, Fox, and NBC channels, along with national channels like News Nation and even the CW channels, will remain on Verizon's TV packages with this deal. So good news, if you get your TV still from Verizon, you can keep your packages. Also, Comcast's streaming TV package, Now TV, has a new or a expanded Latino package with more Spanish language channels. Yesterday, Comcast announced its Now TV Latino is expanding and now has over 100 streaming channels by addition of Univision, ViX, Premium, with ads and more are all streaming now on it. So if you're looking for a Spanish one, Comcast's Now TV Latino is expanding. Today in TV history, now this one I remember vividly. I was a big fan of the Chips TV show growing up. Watched it a lot. I think it was the USA Network, maybe it was, or TNT, one of those that seemed like to be on a lot when I was younger. Well, they had Chips 99. It was a reunion special that aired on TNT. Something that I think is kind of interesting here, it's hard to believe, it's been 27 years now since the Chips reunion came out. Now, this aired on TNT and was kind of a special one. Never really, I think it was a kind of a test of the water, see if there was interest in a new series. Didn't materialize, but they did do a Chips movie later that was kind of, I don't know, it was okay. Kind of, I don't think a lot of people liked it. It wasn't bad, it wasn't great kind of situation. But the late 1970s and 1980s pop culture TV show Chips ran for 139 episodes and followed the California Highway Patrol stories for 6 seasons, produced by Rick Rosner and MGM Television on that. Very interesting to see that Chips is not reunion special is now 27 years old with that. Hey, if you're a owner of the Frndly TV streaming service, or you subscribe to it, great service owned by Roku now. It's having one of its first big contract fights. Now, they've added and removed channels over the years, but one of the big cornerstones of it has been the fact that it includes Hallmark channels. Well, now Hallmark and Frndly are starting to notify customers that there's a contract dispute, and if a contract is not reached, Frndly TV, the live TV streaming service that gives you access to a ton of channels for less than $20 or $10 a month, with that and premium packages even higher up in the teens, could lose access to it. Now, Hallmark launched KeepHallmark.com with that to try to convince you to put pressure on Frndly. Frndly's asking you to put pressure on Hallmark to not ask for such a big price hike. We'll see what's happening. It's very hard to keep a live TV service under $10, and I think Frndly's trying to not agree to too big of a price hike. We'll see what happens here. Who wins, who loses. We'll have full coverage of it over at CoreCarsNews.com as we learn more. All right, we talked a lot about Warner Brothers Discovery being up for sale. Well, a couple of confirmed buyers. One we thought was out is back in. And according to a report from CNBC, 2 big potential suitors are really paying attention to Warner Bros. Discovery for a potential offer that could include the entire thing, but some reports suggest that these companies only want to buy part of the companies that get their hands on the studios, maybe buy the HBO brand, maybe buy HBO Max with it. But 2 big companies now, Netflix and Comcast, are reportedly joining Paramount in preparing bids with this. This comes as reports say that Warner Bros. Discovery is starting a formal auction process to accept bids in an auction style for a potential sale for all or part of the company. We'll see how that plays out, but Netflix back in it after reports suggested they were not going to make an offer, but word is that they may only be making an offer for part of the company, not necessarily all of it. Trying to buy, for example, HBO could become a Netflix-owned property. We'll see what happens there. Hey, Halloween's coming up this week. You wanted some scary movies? James created a list of 7 scary movies streaming online right now where you can watch some Halloween classic movies like The Shining with it, Saw, other horror-related movies, Halloween, and more on this. If you want to find the full list, check out the show notes down below. Few other interesting stories that jumped out to me real quick. Number one, ads are everywhere. We talked about ads coming to more and more places. Wow, get ready to see ads on your fridge. Samsung has announced that their smart fridges with a display on them that they charged, I think, like $2,000 for, will now be showing ads. According to the report from The Verge, these aren't small ads. They're pretty big ads. They're not going to be blaring into your kitchen. I think a lot of people are justifiably upset about this. They buy a TV or a fridge with a screen on it with all kinds of information they can use and plan their day and, you know, do all kinds of fun things with. Well, at the time they bought it, there was no ads. Now they're being forced to see ads on their fridge in their living or in their dining room with this, or kitchen, wherever you may have it. Definitely understand why people are very upset with that one. We'll see how that plays out. I wonder if it's going to end up in any legal challenges. Speaking of legal challenges, Australia is suing Microsoft over its price hike for its Microsoft 365. That saw its price in Australia go up 45% related to AI subscription prices on this. Now, they are being sued here over that price hike and accused of misleading millions of customers into paying higher prices for its Microsoft 365 after bundling it with artificial intelligence tool Copilot. We'll see how this goes, but they're arguing that Comcast manipulated people to pay for a higher one than they really wanted. Speaking of Microsoft, do you use Microsoft Teams? The U.S. Army does. My wife is very familiar with it. Well, it's now going to start tracking your location, where you're working from, and reporting it to your boss. Now, this comes as many companies are increasingly pushing for employees to come back to the office full time, or at least more often. Now, companies will be able to track if employees really are doing that when they log in their Teams to check their email and other things. Microsoft will be able to see very quickly where you're doing that from and then report it to your boss. The snitches are no longer that employee who wants a promotion by taking you out. It's your phone, it's your laptop telling your employee, hey, they're supposed to be in the office, but they're really at home, at the restaurant, at the coffee shop, or maybe on vacation somewhere. Leave me a comment, let me know what you think about that. Those are just a few stories that stood out to me. Well, that's it for today. I hope you have a fantastic day. I'll be back again tomorrow with another video.